Hello, it is I. I'm here. Oh, I realised not to grab my glasses. 2 seconds whilst I grab my glasses. There you are. Glasses acquired. Oof. So today I will be doing just some general doodling and practicing of art. I'm not going to do anything in particular today. Because I've not done any art practice in a while. I've not practiced anything properly. So I'm just going to do some random circles and other things, and see where I end up. I might do some hand drawing practice. I feel like I need to do some more of that. But other than that, welcome. So, yes, like I said. I think I'm going to use my mechanical pencil brush for this and just have it set to 10. So I want grey 10. That's all I need. But I'm going to up it to 15. Yeah, 15. I literally just like I said, I'm just going to do some random practice. Now, I've watched some other videos on the circles and stuff like that. Apparently, if you do like that where you go over, that's apparently bad practice. Apparently, you want to get it perfectly on and just stop just as you get it. As someone who does not believe in perfection, I don't believe I need 100% perfect circle, but close enough is good enough for me. Close enough. That's terrible. That's better. So yeah, I'm just gonna waste a little bit of time just doing this and then do some more practice on something else. That. Yeah, that was not too bad. Not perfect circles, but if I wanted a perfect circle, there's tools for that currently. Oh, that's cheating, I suppose. Okay, I'm just drawing a circle on a piece of paper. I'm just going, there you go, that's a circle. Good enough. And delete. And do a few more. like I said, I won't be doing this all night because this is definitely not something that you need to spend hours on. I'd say you probably want to spend like 5 minutes, if that, on this. It's just, I mean, you'd go mad if you just did this for an hour. I think by the end of an hour, my circles would be like this. Yeah, just grow that bored of doing this repetitive things. So, I think a couple more just to try and get my hand-eye coordination to work somewhat, I suppose. Like I said, I am trying to get these to connect. Obviously, I've got a load of these that don't. Some of these are just short, too high, too low. Some of them just don't quite meet. And this one here looks like a square. Yeah, this is just essentially a square. Square with 2 round sides. It's I'm good. I'm good. How are you, Firewall? And yeah, it's kind of, it's not really a challenge. It's more just, like I said, it's just practices. This. It's just trying to get a bit more control and a bit more flexibility in your arm movement. I did set it up a smidge. I didn't realize it turned up that much. Let me go to the correct one. Put it down to there. Because it is meant to be background music, it is not meant to be overly potent. It's just meant to dampen the quiet, as it were. Good, good. I know I had issues apparently with my mic on Sunday. Brad was saying that it was too quiet, but I turned the gain up. Hopefully it's not too quiet this time. So. But yeah, I really need to be doing these bigger and trying to get my arm involved. Because I have a very bad habit, and I will say it's a bad habit, of using my wrist. I don't think it's got any money to pay rent. Yeah. But yeah, I need to get used to using my arm and instead of my wrist for drawing. It's because when I do, because 2 of these at the very least are not too bad when I've used my arm. Dear. Are we going down that route, are we, Firewall? You, Edam. I tell you, if you carry on this way. Right. So yeah, need to fix my habit of using my wrist because apparently that can lead to repair of strain injury. Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I'm not bored of drawing things. So instead of circles, I'm drawing to draw lines. I try to draw them straight as I can. I'm not trying to draw them horizontal just yet, but let's go horizontal now. And if you actually notice, there is actually still a bit of a curve in this. Because when I'm using my arm, I'm kind of doing like a naturally arcs. So it's actually, I need to probably use my shoulder. Rather than my arm. Because my elbow, it pivots. So if I'm using my elbow, I'm going to get that arc. Whereas if I'm just keeping my arm straight and using my shoulder, should get a nice straight line. Should be the same principle going up. Just keep the pen still. But it seems like when I'm going up, I'm still not naturally arcing, but it's just when my arm goes up, it just kind of seems to turn slightly at the end. Yeah. But how's your arts been going anyway, Firewall? Have you been doing much, or have you been... How's it going? That's good. It's good, yeah. Like I said, it's like, it doesn't matter how many drawings you do, as long as you do some. So, and considering it's early, the fact that you've managed to do one is good. I have also managed to do one. If you haven't realised, I did my thumbnail. So that's one I actually did. So yeah. So this one's the one I did for obviously this stream. I did this on the weekend. Yeah, this is actually taken inspiration from it's like this two-tone lo-fi drawing that you kind of see. I think I was seeing some guy on YouTube, and he'd have like a colouring page, and he'd only use like 2 colour markers. And I thought, oh, that seems interesting. And I thought that would be a really good idea to do for that image, which I did start last year. Because I think I started that image right around Halloween, maybe, or at some point last year. I think I did trying to do the Christmas one actually around Halloween. But yeah, I did pretty much did most of the line art for that one last year, and then the sketch for it, and then I did the line art, and I think the Christmas book helped with the line art, because in the Christmas activity book that I was doing, I was trying to maintain a static line width, which kind of helps that drawing out because it looked more like a coloring page, which helps the effect I was looking for anyway. Oop, no, that's wrong. So, if you're wondering what I'm doing, this is about pen control. So I'm trying to get as close to the last line as possible without it touching. And obviously you want to do it on a curved line. So that failed miserably. Like I said, I'm meant to be getting as close as possible, but sometimes I just get very far away. But so we're both getting that. We're both on our way. We've already cracked on. We've already succeeded in the first hurdle of the year into actually making something. And I think that's a good thing. But like I said, I've not actually been doing much in terms of practice. I might switch over because I keep bringing the bottom bar up. Let me just. Just so then it doesn't keep flashing on the screen. I'll just see if I can. No, I don't like it. I like it when you can see the sidebars as well. See what I'm doing? I messed that up, didn't I? What? There we go. There we go. We'll switch to this one. I think it looks the same. Yeah. So, yeah. You can't see my little bar pop up now every time I swipe down. Ironically, I would normally have that sidebar or the taskbar what is it on like the side, but Windows 11 don't allow that. Yeah, you can show me them. I'll gladly look at those a bit later. do a bit more practice, and then we'll do some practice for half an hour, and then we'll go through this, because it's not going to be the longest stream the art streams, unfortunately. But let us get some hand reference up. I'm going to start doing some hand drawing. Hand references. In fact, I have some art books that I think have some it's taking its time. Never mind. That's not going to work. So I just need a nice nifty hand. Yes. We will go for this one. Let's see. I have an index. I'm on literally the Kindle thing. Table of contents, that's what I want. Seated, action, standing, expressions, portraits. No, wrong one. Never mind. We've got an image. I've got an image I can use. Cancel. Yes. That was a monitor. Bah. Did he? That's fine. Doesn't need to be the probably better, to be fair. Let's start by doing this. For black, don't draw on the image for starters. I'm just going to figure some things out. Because I'm not the best when it comes to things like this, so probably not, I'll be honest. I don't know a lot of things when it comes to drawing. Most of mine drawing is guesswork. But please do enlighten us. It's always nice to learn new things. I'll remember that. First, I'll draw a head. And then I'll do a circle. Get the circle, yeah? Good advice, is that? Tell you what, I'll give you a thumbs up for that advice. So this is connecting joint, and then we've got the arm. So we got this shape, and then line that goes there, this goes here, with a thumb. Start off with this, and this, and then just fill in the forms. Now I missed something when I was doing this, because I should really draw like an oval there, just so I can go, okay, there's this line. My oval should be now about here. There's my line still. Now I can do this. Connect. Here. Another one. This is more of a line, and it's in line with this. And then an arch. Move down. Now, I have done a lot of things wrong. But it's not the worst. That's right there. No. Can't say I do. Generally, when it comes to hands, I generally just try and draw them the same. I don't try and differentiate. I can speak today. I don't try and have a difference between them, you know, define them too much. I'll be honest, most of the time my hands are not yeah, they're kind of just, they're not that so detailed that it really matters, I suppose. The best thing I could say. Um, Generally, if I'm doing a hand, a pretty easy one that I kind of go for is for placeholder. Is probably what I should say. Is probably something like this, and then I just kind of like to do. Okay. So I'd probably say my hands probably lean more in towards the feminine side when I try and do it, because I try and do thinner hands, but rather than bulky hands. Because I mean, I just do this because, like I was saying, it's like most of the stuff I did, I learned through tracing. So I think one of the first hands I learned was like I had like a finger like kind of just going out like this. And it's just like just more of the quite a lot more flow to it. Whereas I'm assuming a guy, you'd probably want it to be a bit more straight on and bulky. But again, I don't really do much when it comes to hands. This is one of the areas that I need to improve on. And this is not the same in women. I mean, generally, a rule of thumb is I generally try and do those two fingers the same. Obviously, if you're kind of doing it, you kind of want to go say, okay, this one and this one are going to be the same length. Yeah, little fingers, yeah, kind of just there. They're the same ones. You want that one to be thingy back there, and then you got your palm there, and your thumb there. It's generally as much you're gonna get from me with that. I'm not sort of focused on having things be 100% accurate. And to be fair, most of the times I'm not drawing a hand that up close that you're gonna even notice. So I don't think it's going to be coming up a lot in my drawing. But to be fair, though, I have drawn a couple of poses where I've had like the gun right up close. Obviously, if the gun is rather up close, then guess what? Also, is rather up close. The hand. So that's kind of something you kind of need to pay attention to, I suppose. Maybe a bit more when the hands are up close. But yeah, let me have a look at this one. So I've got this here, and then we got crease. Probably actually goes more like that. Got around palm. I want to do a line there, and then curves up on the thumb. curve it back down. It is interesting to know there's a lot of things that, if you actually compare between the human body of even different people, it's interesting how just a little difference can actually change something. Because, I mean, if you think about it, if someone had the exact same facial features, but someone just had the eyebrows that were just a little bit higher, and the other one just had, and the other one just had their eyes just a little bit lower than the other guys, and you're just going to get, I mean, they're the same shape, the same form, but they're just ever so slightly off. It's going to give you a totally different thing in it, yeah. Or mouth that's just a bit too high. Yeah, it's like. Oops, I want to delete that. Delete this instead. Yeah. But nuances. It's all good. I need to sort this mat of mine out that's on this desk. Keep sticking to it now. Got a player mat on my desk and now it's just, all the rubber on the bottom's kind of just coming off. Sticking to the desk. I need to do something about that, but that's for another time. Alright, so that seems fine. Whew. So I've got this kind of shape here for the hand. I've got it's like you see, you want to kind of, a good rule of thumb is just make some shapes. And hope they make sense. So how far? That doesn't extend too far before it curves, I suppose. So do that, and then I want stub and curve up like that, I suppose. And we kind of got our thumb. And now we've got the fingers. So let's see. So again, the way that you kind of want to do fingers. I don't want to do cylinders. So I would come out. Go a bit more. Do that. Then connects back. And here we have bullet, and then from there we can have almost like a triangle, I suppose. No, this is quite long, so this angle's wrong. No, I'm not going to get into the angles here. Like we were saying, all hands are different. So do that there. And that just looks like it's a little nub as well. I already know what's wrong with this. I've went too short. Because I've not filled in this area here. I mean, if I just show on this, I'm kind of in the right spot, I suppose. Nah, definitely not the best hand possible. Oh well. Right, I'll have another run at it. One more try and then we'll go and then we'll have a look at these images, yeah. Let's see. Journal. I like Spidey. Yeah. I'm drawing an eye. Yeah, well, practice. I've drawn a few hands. Yeah, some better than others. Just about trying to figure out how you want to construct things. Because there are many methods. what's going on with this hand here, because it's very on this finger, should I say, 'cause it is very, very much kind of tucked away very strangely, because it looks like it's proper rammed in there. So the finger's probably more in line with being in a box shape than it is being curled. I mean, I'll look at my own. It's a very awkward pose. Feels like two planes. Probably get a bit of shading on these two. Bit more here. So that is bloop. So I still quite like that shape when I do at the start, so I'm kind of just connecting. Let's refine it a bit though. So turn it into like a whatever shape that is. Dodgy hexagon. So So again, I'm still using a wrist, by the way. I really shouldn't be. Oh dear, I'm a wee bit tired, I think. The thumb, come down, do a bit of a curve. Then we have that there. again, done something quite sharp. I think it's actually this middle finger. Should probably actually extend out a bit more. Because you can see the top and the side, and probably the same with the thingy finger, pointer finger. Let's do some. Bit of outlining just to make it pop. Yeah, sometimes. I mean, this is a very strange angle. I mean, it doesn't seem too bad, but when you actually start drawing things, I mean, I'm trying to get a good angle of things. I mean, it's just like just drawing anything kind of human proportion wise. I mean, you just get some weird distortion and stuff. I mean, the hands generally, along with the arms. I mean, depending on how you place your hand, the arm just looks weird. You know, like in this one, the arm just. I mean, this is actually turning almost immediately. Whereas this actually has a bit of a thing before it kind of goes, but these are essentially just going in the same direction. It's actually this little bit here that's actually causing the so generally if I'm drawing my wrists and stuff, I will just draw them more of a right angle. Rather than anything else. Now let's freeform this thumb. Something I might actually use. So I personally, I do like to do more silhouette stuff sometimes. Depends. I really have no set way of doing anything. Which is technically both a good thing and a bad thing. It's 50-50. I think it was... So I believe it was someone in obviously Drawfee who was saying this. I think they were doing like a live tutorial about drawing, and they went into an anecdote. And the anecdote was someone came up and asked them why do their legs always look off, and it's just like, and I think their response anyway to the entire thing was, if it looks weird, then it's probably correct. Yeah, this is for drawing like legs and anatomy in general, because I feel it's probably correct, because I think we overthink things and want things to look clean and perfect, when in fact it's not clean and perfect. It's all messy and disorganized. So think of like JoJo poses. They're always really flamboyant and kind of over exaggerated. That is probably more accurate to how a human body sometimes looks. Yeah, that is like the other end of the weird aspects of how a human body can look compared to, say, I don't know, just how a body actually looks. But yeah. Anyway, you said you had some drawings. Let's have a look at these drawings. I will spend the last half an hour, ish, of this stream, and I'll have a look at the drawings. Why not? I'll have a beverage. But I mean, I can open it. I can't open it. I'm pathetically weak right now. I just don't have any. I'm already in wind down mode, I think. We'll draw some more hands. Draw a hand with this circle-esque feature. Also, let's say I also do like. I do like things being somewhat a bit angular sometimes as well. Don't know, it just looks nice. Yeah, I think foreshortening is generally one of one of the hardest things for humans to do because it's just like because you know what things look like, but the brain just doesn't like putting things in. Doesn't like to let you think properly when it comes to foreshortening, so it kind of goes all messed up. So even though this hand is, could say it's coming from a guy all the way over here, it's it kind of gets a bit weird about placements and all that. And it gets worse when you try to extend all the way back as well. Yeah, so yeah. So foreshortening is like when your hand's like right up front, and obviously you've got your arm, which is just literally right behind it. Then your forearm is yeah. Providing I'm thinking of the correct word here. Yeah. So yeah, it's foreshortening. So that is generally the thing that gets people. According to things that I'm seeing on here, one of the ways to kind of reference it and see how it changes is to actually do like little loops. Because then obviously you can see like the distance, because it's just like having a rings in it. So if you have like rings like this, you can see each of the rings, but then when you go up, obviously all the rings start to overlap. Yeah. Anyway, drawings. Drawings. Ooh, these are the references as well. Nice. But, come on, computer. You can do it. You can do what I ask. Right, I'll start with this fella. Do. Bear. And just paste them straight on. Boom. And then we have bear. Bloop. And we have teeny weeny reference, because yeah, references are actually an absolute bugger to get decently sometimes. So let's have a look what we got here. Don't worry about it. I think me and Brad were actually going through, because Brad were doing a thumbnail. And we were trying to find a picture of one of the games he was going to be playing, and it's like the fact that we couldn't find anything of decent like resolution. It was that old. But and some pictures you just can't find that decent over a decent resolution too. So right, let's have a look. So looking at this, so one thing I've noticed is that the kind of claws, you've kind of went very differently on the claws for this thing. These, the ones you've done, are probably more like bird feet, and your dinosaur ones, which are pretty, yeah. Which, to be fair, these are pretty decent for that. But what we've got here are actually really thin and wispy. So you'd probably want to have actually made these a lot thinner, and then just like had these like long. It's like the long nails, you know, like you see women have. It's like the more like those. Similar kind. I mean, you've kind of got it on the front, but again, you've went quite more bird and stuff on that. And I would probably say I think you've added too much detail or onto the legs as well. From what I can gather here, this is meant to be, I wouldn't say like smooth and stuff, but I feel like it's more fleshy. Is probably an apt description, so it's not going to have all the kind of these little details on. You'd almost appear a bit more smooth, I think. Because obviously, if you even have a look at the tail looks like it's smooth and glossy. And because I also know that you're a fan of putting detail on it as well. But so yeah, like I said, it's like I think the because obviously this is more so based on a rat, I'm assuming. So I think the feet will probably be more rat-like rather than bird-like. Obviously, rats do have claws, so more than likely these are probably just like little claws from rats. So forget a reference of a rat. I mean, rats have. In fact, would a rat skeleton be better? Because obviously, the fact that it has claws, I don't think is. Just want to have a look at his back foot. What's this? Because it's probably not a rat, is it? Probably not directly a rat. I've never really played Parasite Eve, I'll be honest. Interesting. But, right, so we've got this here, and if I actually compare... I'll add this up a little. Has got a watermark, but that's fine. So if you have a look at the feet here, you can see that they're actually quite long. So I'm assuming what they've more likely done is they've just kind of added that kind of claw to the end of it, but I believe that the shape is generally still there. Obviously, you have your three peaks. But your structure's there, your forms get in there. Like I said, I think the aesthetics, the kind of detail that you're probably needing to get is but if you were going to add detail, because I would try and probably to have a look to see if there's other kind of detail that you can add for different textures. Because I think this would have looked a lot better with the legs. Because, like I said, the legs currently just look like chicken feet. With these lines on, and I know it's there for kind of, as you were saying, it's like this tri-dimensional look, but it gives it more of a texture that it doesn't need from the looks of the original drawing. And the other thing I've noticed is the fur as well. So you've broken the fur down, it looks like, into sections. I would probably not do that. I would probably just try and get try and do bulk. With hair, what I find is like the more detail you want is very much on the outside of where you're trying to do it rather than the inside. Because generally hair blends together and is very bulky when it's short, so you're not going to get much detail in the hair, but you will get like the odd kind of like crevice or strand of hair. Obviously you can't see any of this that I'm doing on here because I'm doing it far too thingy. I need a bigger brush. Oh, I need a brush that's actually on the right layer. So yeah, so you probably want to just kind of do a bit more bulk area. Because obviously you've kind of just done like patches. How to do shiny surfaces. So with using a pen, because you are using a pen, let me have a think. What would be the best way to do it? So, because you don't do a lot of shadowing. Generally, you might just want to add like a line more like this instead, just to the ends of it, because then that will give you that kind of detail. Like I said, it seems more fleshy, so you probably want to actually do more of creases as well. But so just using the lines in a different way will probably get you closer to that, less of a thingy tone and more of closer to that glossy. Yes, like I said, I don't think you have to do it too hard, but you probably just want a thick line just to kind of signify, oh yeah, this is three-dimensional or whatever. Just trying to get that different texture form from it. Yeah, like I say, with the fur, I think the best way to tackle it, if you're doing it this way, is you want your bulk area. So like you do your outline, and then you'll probably want to you'll probably actually do want to add your lines after that. So like I would starting down here, you probably do want to do more lines rather than thingy. And to be fair, you don't even need to connect all the lines. That'll probably help a little bit more. So just kind of doing stuff like this, and because if you actually look sometimes when you see people who've done hair, they'll just have like 2 lines like this with nothing connecting it at all, and then they'll just continue on. Yeah. And that's fine, because it kind of just adds like, okay, that's just like where the hair's a strand of hair. And I think that's kind of more what you kind of trying to get in this. And then you want to go in with a bit more detail afterwards, which would just be essentially, like I said, it's like just adding a couple of lines, because from the looks of it, the actual image, so if I just hide this and bring the image back a bit more into focus, it looks like everything's kind of radiating out from this center point here. So everything is kind of just going to go in one of these directions from kind of there, rather than having kind of segregating it like this. You'd probably want to do, like I said, you probably want to do some a bit more like this. Obviously, it's not the clearest, but and just do a couple of lines, kind of like just because you don't want to always draw details. Sometimes you want to suggest details, is what I've learned. And like I said, I'm not the leading authority on it, but that's probably how I'd actually go about doing that bit a bit more. Now, as for this mouth area, this bit seems fine. Don't have any issues with that. It could probably do lead, so this bit here, which again seems a bit more like a fleshy part, would probably benefit to being similar to kind of like over here, like the method there, where you're kind of just adding blue and just so you're kind of coloring it in a bit more, and but leaving like a streak of where you're not going to be touching it. It's a New York rat, of course it's raggedy. Yeah, New York rat is definitely raggedy. Overall, like I said, it's like it's just texture details, I think, and just trying to figure out how this should look a bit more. Like I said, they don't even look sharp in some of these. Some of them just looks like they're a bit more ovular. So just kind of that one doesn't even look like it's attached to it. It looks like it's hanging off. But overall, I think it's pretty decent. Like I said, I think it's just figuring out how to do a few different textures that'll give you a bit more details. I would probably have suggested as well, looking at this, that the upper and lower part of this probably would have been similar texture to what you've done with your teeth, because that does appear to be a bit more like bone. So, like I said, your silhouette isn't actually too bad. Your silhouette's pretty spot on, obviously, barring the nails. I don't think there's anything I could say. There's probably this arm probably just needs to be pulled back a little bit more, because you have this little opening right here that obviously yours seems to be lacking, but and it actually connects a bit more to the foot, which yours is quite bulky in comparison, but that's fine. And yeah, just needs a bit more of that, shape in between. But overall, I'd say that it's pretty spot on. I mean, you probably got majority of it correctly. Can't see any major issues with it. It seems good. Artistic liberties, good part. It would definitely be what if you're copying for one, then obviously if artistic liberties, I'm gonna give it dinosaur feet. Yeah. But yeah, I think if you're trying to do a more glossy texture, I mean, they use a similar thing in here. It's like the with like the black. If you're using photos like this and they don't seem to be overly scaly and stuff like that, and they do seem to be glossy, generally I'd use the reference to kind of color in the locations, because obviously you can see that they're kind of colored in these areas, so you can actually just go over to this one and just go onto your own and just kind of follow along where it's kind of placed in. So you can have them like just here, and then you can just ignore any of the white parts of the paper, because that's generally going to be where your line art's going to be anyway. Not line art, highlights are going to be, so that's the lighter areas. So it's probably a good place to start when you're trying to get your shading in. Is just have a look to see where they put the shading in the reference image. And that'll help you get that. Probably help a bit more with the glossy, because obviously they add a bit more down here. I'm not using the right brush for this, obviously, and obviously you use pens a lot more, so it'd be a bit different when you try it. So you probably want to try a variety of different ways of how you want to get that result. But if it's got shadows, like especially dark shadows like this, probably a good method is to have a look at them. And use them to your advantage. Even if you're not doing like full blocks, you can just do like your cell shaded, not cell shaded, but yeah, bit more hashing instead. And that'll still give you a pretty similar result, I think. The next one, we'll move on. And a thumbs up. There you go. Have a thumbs up. It's good. The quality of the line art's not bad. I can't. The line thickness, you kind of got a very consistent thickness with the lines. So I don't think that's an issue. And obviously, you're very you have very confident lines. You're not essentially you're not quite like me, who is very much a case of I will keep going like this a bajillion times. Yeah, I'm very much a messy drawer, is what I would say. Whereas you are very, because obviously you're obviously using a bit more reference than I would, but that's besides the point. You are very confident where you're kind of trying to do stuff, which is good. Yeah. If your 8 months ago was worse than this, that means you've improved, which is good. And this is good. It's good. Now we're getting to Scaly, who does have dinosaur feet. Because he is a dinosaur. And a copy of the reference image. Yeah, not badly sized is that reference image in comparison. So, let's have a look. So, this one has got your favorite thing of everyone. It's got foreshortening. Because obviously you've got the it's got the claws here. It's got like a hand here, which is a bit hard to see. Yeah, granted. And you've actually got it in there. Not wrong with that. But you're getting a lot of the details in, which is good. Maybe not the. And again, what I'd say is I think you kind. I mean, again, stylistic choice, but obviously this is kind of my opinion on how I would do it. Is I feel like the detail is kind of all kind of bundled into one. It's kind of not. It's not blending itself together. Is the only thing I can think of with this one. The pose itself, the image itself looks great. Yeah, the overall structure. Obviously, I feel like you probably needed to go a bit shorter on that bit. Make for that hole. But overall, the actual image itself seems to be fine. I mean, what's going on down here? Got that there. And then we've got... Is there something there? Or is that a shadow? a bit of this could be up to interpretation, I suppose, because it's like you've got this clear bone here. But then doesn't appear to be anything on the other side, so I don't know how that looks. Yeah, yeah. But the feet themselves look fine. I don't have any issue. I don't have any criticisms about the feet. The only thing that I'm going to say is, again, the way that you've done the detail, it kind of just blends everything kind of into one. Whereas I believe in this piece, it's kind of like you have like the bone that kind of appears to be here, but there is also kind of fleshy parts to it, which you see all the way through, which I feel like have kind of been slightly ignored a bit more, but let's get a brighter green. So you've got like these like lighter parts here, and then the these darker parts here. Whereas on yours, kind of just blended all into one. So unfortunately, this to me, just like you've got like singular tube that's just running straight up his leg, rather than these three, because these three connect like right here, which kind of like where you've got it here, but at this point it just looks like you've got like three tubes that are just riding up the leg. I think on this one, this it's actually a shiny part. It's like kind of like metallic. These actually merge together, it seems to me anyway. So again, I think it's more of just the detailing for me on this piece, where I think just adding a bit more variety to how you're detailing stuff would help detail it a bit more clearly about what's what, where's what. The other thing I did notice like there's this like kind of arch here, which is slightly missing here, but again, that is this toe anyway. I don't know. But then we've got this here. So if that's there, what is this bit? So from the looks of it here, this is like the edge of the leg. So there's this bump here, there's the spikes. So the spikes go here, but this outer side, and then it goes into that. So it'll be probably more when I can get the right tools working. So you probably wouldn't have wanted to draw that bit in on these, and then this would have actually just been applied or kind of flown into. at this point instead. Because that kind of merges with that bit as well. Oh, so it's kind of like these two are kind of merged together. That's how I see it anyway. Did you? I'm not reading my messages all that much. Right, okay, let's have a look. Copy image. Right. So basically you have this here, and then that spike thing at the side is this here, and obviously there's another one at the other side. So that'd be this and this. Because I'm assuming this triangular area would technically be the pelvis then. So that'd be all of this. Which makes sense. Makes sense. That means this bit here would actually be this bone. And then I don't know what the hell that is, because that's that. No, that can't, because it's too far forward. But probably something else that we don't know. But yeah. Yeah, again, I think obviously when the person's drawn this, they themselves have taken a few artistic liberties with positionings and stuff. And obviously it's kind of deteriorated dinosaur as well, so obviously some of the parts aren't all there. So, but overall, again, I think one of the things that you probably want to look into a bit more is obviously different methods of doing detail. Because obviously, like I said, it kind of blends in too much when you do, because you've done quite a lot of similar details, which then kind of just all blend into one. So whilst there are, how would you texture this drawing? To be fair, I would actually do the similar to the other one, because it looks like it's a combination of bone and kind of muscle / flesh. So you probably on things like over here, this doesn't seem obviously like bird's feet. It's obviously it's a bit more flesh. It's a fleshy tone, so alright, Cap. You probably want to do again maybe a bit more towards trying to make it a bit shiny. I wouldn't say shiny because it's not really popping out as shiny, but you'd probably want to do maybe some muscle fiber kind of thing instead. I'm trying to close this, but it's not working. Over So cat, not right now, please. Stop it, kitty. So yeah, because a lot of this is quite dark anyway, so you're not gonna. Because when something's dark, you're not gonna get detail anyway. So all of this, you're not really gonna see any detail. And from so a lot of the detail in this one. Sorry, kitty. A lot of the detail in this, like this tail, the way you've done your tail, you've kind of got these segments again. There are no segments in the actual drawing, so you probably actually wanted to kind of, once again, you want to do lines. So you could have probably gotten away with kind of not even sharing it, but just doing a different directional line to kind of and different line things. So you could have maybe not well just done there because that looks terrible, but just kind of adding your line details slightly differently. You've kind of done it, I suppose, but again, I'd probably say look at where they've placed their shadows, and just try and follow that, and then your shadows will end up being a bit more the detail. The foot as well, because it's not like a scaly foot. It's more of like a bone. You'd probably again want to just kind of follow the shadows, though you could probably add just little details like that. This has got that there, and you can just add details of where things are, because currently you've not got, whilst you've added these kind of arches and thingy details, you've actually missed out on some of the actual details they've got into this drawing. Like obviously you could have copied this bit into it and this bit, and by just doing a bit just adding that little darkness into that, and just adding these little alcoves and crevices. So there's detail already in this image that if you just kind of utilized, it would probably give you. Obviously I'm tracing this currently because obviously I'm being quick. But yeah, it's just about finding locations where you can make it. So it's like here as well, you could have added all of this part, because over here this is technically all could have been classified as one thing, but again, the kind of way that you've went about doing it is you went into a spiral or loops here. And it's like, I'd probably say you just want to kind of break these up into pieces, because I'd say this as well. So just try and find like okay, would this technically all be connected as one piece, or could I do this shape as one piece and then do another? But Yeah, I think it's just a case of figuring out where and when to put certain things on this one. Don't know if I'm just rambling now. I feel like I am. So there is detail. It's just a matter of figuring out what you're wanting to maintain in the one that you're doing. Yeah, no reference here. So it's like just trying to find these kind of pockets where you can apply. Let's use the correct one. And just take your time, I'd say. Some time just looking at the reference, not even drawing it. Or just try and find things that can go, okay, that can technically add a bit of depth or texture or something to it. Because I mean, I could block all that in, but if I do that, then there is a bit of detail in here. That, because obviously that's for that bit. Yeah, there is a line here, so technically I could have kept that into the white, just kept that white, and then just used my pen to kind of just add in details on either side. There's lots of ways you can do it. Well, make them look like ink splotches. There is, you can keep doing it one way, so you can keep trying to do it this way, keep doing it this way, and then rinse and repeating. It's only by, this is where kind of like how I draw kind of is a good thing, but also a bad thing, because I don't really always remember how I've done something, and I'll generally use only a few things like this, or do certain things the same. So, and I will say that one of the things that I've seen with quite a few of the ones that you've posted, I would say, let me have a look, see if I've got any more. I'm sure I have. So yeah, it's just, so generally the way that you like to apply some detail is you like to add the lines to like the claws, the hands and the feet, but then you'll also add it to other aspects, like let's have a look. So we've got this one that you did a while ago now. And this is where I think that the kind of method that you're using is kind of, I mean, there's definitely improvement in between these two, but again, kind of like you kind of repeating the same method of how you're kind of trying to do the detail. So, and sometimes it's actually better not to have as much detail, because things just don't have detail. And I think that's where people are like, oh no, I've got to do detail. I've got to have detail in it. And it's like, no, sometimes you just leave it bare. One of the things that is the golden ratio. It's like you want blank space in a drawing. Weird, I know, but you want blank space because you want somewhere for people to rest their eyes. If you have loads and loads of detail, which some drawings do, don't get me wrong, there are some absolutely stellar drawings that have lots and lots of detail, but you don't really want to be looking at those kinds of images all the time because they are very taxing. Because they require you to look at every little thing and every single detail. Because there's just that much detail in it. So, and this is where mine drawing kind of tends to fall into the latter half, which is I don't do loads of detail because I'm lazy and I don't like doing a load of detail. Even though I do like some of the like line art stuff that people do where they've got a boatload of details in there. But sometimes just having a little less will make it better. Like obviously you've added these lines all the way along the arm. So it's kind of like all the way along the lines and the bones and stuff. And whilst not necessarily the worst thing, is like there is no bones is actually quite smooth. I mean, one thing that you could add to add detail to bone instead is actually probably a crack. So rather than adding a boatload of these lines, you could probably add like one or two. So if you just kind of got rid of all of these kind of lines, you could just add, let's find a kind of a neutral color. You could just add like a broken line instead. So just kind of like a fracture line, and these give you a bit more detail. And whilst not accurate to the actual reference imaging, it would also give you a bit of detail, providing it's not overdone. Because obviously, sometimes you can overdo things. I should know. I overdo things all the time. But yeah, and it's just, yeah, if you just get your pen and you just do like a simple, it's like, okay, just do a simple crack line like that. Or a chip. A chip is very good also. So basically, you don't even need to do much. You just draw like a little triangle and you've just got like a chip taken out of somewhere. These are very good because obviously it's kind of like it's applying detail, but it's not taking away from the rest of the drawing, and it's not overly aggressive, potentially, is what I would say. But again, and yeah, so one thing I'd say is look for form within the reference, because obviously like this leg, I've accidentally drawn it. There is sections to this that I feel like have been missed in here, because you've got this here, which should really be where the knee is, but there doesn't appear to be any kind of form of what a knee is within it. So I mean, there's kind of a form of a knee over this side on this image, which again has been interpreted as these kind of tubular-esque ones. Yes, there is. That the Tarrasque is one that you did right at the start of last year. And that is what you did at the end of the year, which, to be fair, like I said, it does show that you've improved. I do think the one in December does look a lot better than the other one. But I think now the issue is, I think that you're trying to put. Well, it's not an issue that you're trying to put a lot of detail into it. It's about you putting too much of the same detail in. So I would say try and figure out other ways to apply detail that are all the same. Mess around with it is probably the best thing that you can do. Like I said, the method that I generally go to if I'm trying to add detail to like swords and stuff is I'll add cracks and whatnot to bits, which also works for bone. The detail that you're generally using for your teeth, I generally also kind of go for. I think it was on the rat that it had the detail for the teeth. Do I have the rat still on here? I do. Yeah, so the detail that you've got on the teeth here are pretty good. I quite like that. It's kind of a similar thing to what I do sometimes. Because that also works on like horns and stuff like that as well. But anyway. Be all and end all. When I can find the ones I'm looking for. Apparently I can only find you Tarrasque now. There we go. Be all and end all. It still looks good. And like with anything, everyone always has room for improvement. Everyone. Including me. That's why I was practicing today. But yeah. I definitely do think the next thing, you just need to pay more attention to the details that are already on your references when you're doing your reference drawing. And just to kind of mess around with how you do some of your details. Because I know that you said that you like doing your detail, which is good. But I think you just now need a bit more variety of how to do detail. I'm repeating myself again and again now. So I'm going to end the stream here then. I hope I didn't mumble too much. And I hope it made sense at some point. I'm sure I just try and look for words and just throw it and hope something sticks. Just like, throw, something stick. Yeah, so regarding the tip of the tail, the T-Rex, I don't know what you do at that point or feathering. The tip of the tail. Again, the tip of the tail, like I said, I'd probably say look at your reference images again, because this will definitely be the last thing, because you've went and did the detail that you generally do with teeth, but you probably actually want to do more of what I said before. You just want to kind of... What am I even using? There we go. And you probably just want to actually... follow the shadow, then you just want to probably actually put some blocks in there and some lines, and because like I said, I mean, I'm not sure if there's any detail about what this thing's made of and what it looks like. But if you've got like details of what it is, I'd definitely recommend having a look at details, because that can then give you a hint of it. But like I said, it looks like it's probably a bit more of muscle and flesh and stuff, so you probably kind of want to look into more of doing it something like that, and again copying some of the shadows, which will add the details. Like obviously it flows not against the sides of it, but it kind of flows all the way to the back of the tail. Yeah, like it goes all in a stream. And yeah. Hopefully I've not, like I said, hopefully I've not rambled too much and made some form of sense. But would definitely recommend watching other people on other videos, especially art tip videos. There's some great ones out there, I'm sure. Rather than this random guy on the internet who tries to do some art and succeeds sometimes. But yeah. Anyway, I will speak to you later. I'll bid you farewell. Bye. Bye-bye. I'm going to stop the stream now.